India will never qualify for the Football World Cup. Not because we are bad players or our system is bad at organizing or even because it just isn't popular enough. It's because we are not weird. Although it's also about these three reasons, so let's cover them in a random order. Football is the second most popular sport in India, according to the Indian government, based on the metric of total participants at all levels. So using uninformed logic, the second most popular sport of the most populous country should mean good performance, right? It doesn't work like that. China can attest such claims to be false. Sure, a lot of Indian kids play football, but how many exactly? Do we even have the numbers? At what level do they play? And how much do they play? Not enough. Indians wishing to go pro play 10 times less matches than players of countries with equal eco stats, so they fall behind before they can even begin. But we have a new system, and look at all these leagues and clubs and streaming numbers on YouTube. Surely there's a future in this, right? Data shows that when a team sport dominates in a region, it does by a huge margin, leaving nothing for the rest. Most kids in India are playing cricket, where they can't go big, leaving all but dreams for those who chose anything else. But India has a massive population problem. There should be ample competition to sustain more than one sports league, and the dream of fans can. Normal countries don't have more than one sports league. Weird ones do, and India is not weird. Here's a list of every country and their biggest sports league, sorted by revenue. I'm using this as a proxy as total player base data is a nightmare to find and compute, and I don't got any AI tokens. Notice this pattern. In all non-weird countries, the biggest sport is twice as big as the second, which is twice as big as the third, if it even exists. Almost. It's true for all non-weird countries. Germany, number 1, football. Number 2, also football. Well, let's combine all the football numbers and the real number 2 is way down. France basically doesn't even have a number 2. Japan, football is the number 2 and it's way down. Mexico follows the pattern to the T. Egypt, even if number 1 barely exists, the number 2 is... Very little data exists for countries poorer than that, and India is much poorer than all of those. Just having functional sports infrastructure is a miracle given the state of our economy, so sustaining more than one league would be a challenge. But the world of sports isn't just leagues and money from gambling sponsorships. If that was the case, Europe would dominate every sport, but all they seem to care about is football and occasionally rolling on ice. India is poor. Despite that, we have an expansive sports culture. A massive fan base enables us to punch above our class in terms of money, but that is not enough to allow us to compete. Countries poorer than India qualify for the World Cup using hero-trained talent, which people say is true mark of success in a sport. Well, non-weirdos say that at least. Let me try to understand it with a story. Imagine you are a kid going out to play with friends one evening. If all the kids are playing football, you will also play football. If you don't like football, you'll have to play alone. Can't do that with a team sport. Thus, even in an unprofessional level, one sport tends to monopolize the minds of customers and the market follows. In most of India, the sport that dominates is not football. Cricket is the monopoly here. It destroys football in the gully space, which leads to more kids picking it up professionally, which makes it possible for its Premier League to make 20 times more money than the rest of the leagues combined. This fact of one sport becoming a monopoly is true for all nations, except for the one and maybe a few others who are weird. I'll get to the weirdos here. Most people groups in the world only follow one sport and just kinda glance at the Olympics. So why do us Indians keep caring about more than one sport? I don't find much content like, why isn't Great Britain good at basketball? Or United Kingdom's in handball? Or England in cricket? Why do us Indians have this desire to be good at football? Why is it considered to be a national shame and government failure to be bad at this sport? No one gives a toss about Indian basketball or any other team sport. Maybe some of us follow them, but most follow cricket. And if we don't want to be weird, shouldn't we be content with just following one sport? Most Arabs and Brazilians don't follow anything other than football. Even in England, the cricket followers are the ones called weird. Maybe us Indians are weird, not in data, but in spirit. We are in the process of becoming weird. To answer this curiosity, I charted all Indian men who played in IPL 26 and stole data from people much more knowledgeable than me who did the same for ISL. Just look at this divide. This region has basically no presence in cricket, but all the presence in football. So we can conclude that football is not a nationally played sport in India, it's a regional one. Now the argument can be made that India is massive, so the player count must be higher. However, it doesn't work like that. Cricket is popular in most of the country, while football is popular in these regions. Combine their population and you get this startling fact. Cricket in India has over 1 billion potential followers. Football maxes out at 200 million. But that's still more than most other countries. Would the government not spend a lot of money in these specific states and boost the performance of Indian football at an international level? No, because we are poor. It's not like everyone in this region is playing football and shunning cricket. There are pockets where football reigns supreme, but that isn't enough. When ISL was a closed league, teams were from all over India. When relegation began, 3 Kolkata teams joined in. One just got replaced by another Kolkata team. Maybe. Look at data of all low-tier leagues and the picture becomes clearer. Football in India is a regional sport. There are some places outside here where a footballing culture is present. Big cities have the money and population to sustain that, but in all other parts of India, kids have to choose cricket. Sports, one does not get good alone. They need to play and practice against equally skilled players. There is no shortage of talent in either of these sports, but the surplus available to cricket ensures that players who choose that have an easier time honing their skills, while footballers have to struggle for a match. The governments have tried a lot of things to force other sports to catch up, but the politicians of our democracies just aren't good enough. All the money given to them keeps vanishing, so how can anything be done? Maybe we should send more money so some of it can trickle down. The 200 million fans of the beautiful game deserve to see their reverence rewarded. Somehow. Wait a sec. The great minds of Indian bureaucracy not only want to qualify for the FIFA World Cup, but also want to promote greatness in e-football? That's some Netflix cheer riding. Should have hired ICC writers instead. Such a dedicated fan base seeing this repeating cycle of promised success followed by a failure harder than the previous attempt will definitely raise their voice, and with that many people, it will be loud. But is it realistic to hope for that? 200 million is a lot of people, and the actual number is likely higher, but it's still 5 times less than cricket, and the monopoly effect is real. Nothing can be done to counter it by us common people. If only we were. Time to talk about the weirdos. Wait, America still follows the rule. NFL is twice as big as baseball and basketball, but, and this is one stellar blade size, never mind. Worst nerf in gaming history. NBA and MLB are equal, which is weird. The US is one country, but there is no monopoly either in their minds or the market, which is weird. No other country is as weird as them. Maybe Australia and some Nordic countries are in the process of getting weird, but that's it. Everyone else suffers under the monopoly, enjoys the hell out of the monopoly, so it's all about the money, eh? But all of UEFA is rich, Japan is rich, so why aren't they weird? Because they are tiny. Most of them have less than 100 million population. Not enough kids playing at the streets to sustain more than one league, so they have to settle for one. USA is big, diverse, rich, and racist as fuck. Segregation is a big part of their culture. So when they developed all these sports, different races and regions chose different sports to play, which allowed for different sports to grow. Japan is one people. If all Japanese like baseball, there is no reason to like anything else. Football stood no chance until their team caught up to the world, and then their loyalties evolved. When cheering for football, the Japanese cheer for Team Blue Lock. When cheering for baseball, they cheer for Team Local City. Maybe they'll become weird in the future, but they are not there yet. Now coming back to India, we are not weird either. Cricket is a near monopoly. It's taken very seriously here. Indians love calling a boycott of matches against Pakistan when it's a cricket tournament, but don't do the same when it's any other sport. The journalist who caught that fish said if cricket is a religion in India, it is a monotheistic one. For football to catch up, they'll have to fight for attention, but India is a diverse country, so for a certain section of our population, it has won that fight already. It's impossible for their passion to be rewarded, so they must find peace by following other teams and dreaming for ours. But I am weird, so I don't take logic for an answer. We can all wait till we get rich, and the sheer strength of a massive overpopulation will take us there. Americans are bad players, but they qualify all the time, so waiting is an option. But we can cheat. Perhaps we'll need to do more research to find that solution, so let's keep waiting till then.